All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute honor to have you here in our video today. All right, so I'm going to be speaking about why you keep manifesting the same person, the same face, over and over and over again, literally to the point where it's probably driving you kind of crazy. So what exactly am I referring to? So I'll give you an example. And the reason why I want to make an entire video about this is because I was doing a call with one of my clients, and this is something that we were both talking about on the call, that I 100% believe there's a lot of people that are struggling with this and don't really understand what's happening or why it's happening, just like it was confusing for my clients. And I have personal life experience with this as well. You know, I'll share some of my personal experience throughout this video, but I also understand how to navigate it and how to get out of it too from personal experience. So that's basically where the inspiration of this video today came from, was this call with my client the other day. So the example is, let's say, for example, you get into a relationship with somebody. And let's say you date this person for maybe a couple months, maybe you date them for a year, 2 years. It doesn't really matter how long you've been together. But then there seems to be a separation. You and this person end up separating from each other. And you give yourself a little bit of time to sort of, go through that phase of hurt, when you separate. But the next thing you know, you start attracting to you very similar and familiar energy to the person that you just came out of the relationship with. Literally almost to the point where it seems like you're manifesting the same person in a different body over and over and over again. Now, you might be noticing there's little shifts and there's little changes between each person, but you can almost feel the underlying undertone of the energy between you and that person is so similar to the energy that you had with that original person that you were in the relationship with, that kind of really hurt you in some way, or maybe really broke your heart, or triggered something really deep inside of you. So I want to just take a second to pause and ask you, have you ever been in this situation before? Is this something that you can personally resonate with? I'm very curious to hear about that. And if you want to share a little bit of your personal experience in the comment section, I would also love to hear that too. All right. So why is this taking place? Why are we manifesting almost seemingly like the same person, just in a different body? Why is this happening? How do we get this to stop? And how do we fully understand the internal mechanics of why this is taking place so that we can actually heal in the way that we need to heal and start resonating with people that are truly safe people and that are people that can hear us and see us and connect with us in the way that we deserve? All right. So this is the most common case when it comes to this. The reason why you're resonating with a person that is familiar to this original person that hurt you is because that original person that hurt you actually was a significant catalyst for you. They were a significant trigger to bring up something that was already inside of you to the surface. So what I mean by this is that this original person, the hurt that they put you through went way deeper than just them. So in other words, what they triggered inside of you was in you long before you ever met them. I'm going to say that one more time, and I want you to really follow this. What this original person triggered inside of you was in you long before you even met that person. So the feelings that you ended up feeling when that person hurt you, when they neglected you, when they abandoned you, when they betrayed you, when they hurt you, triggered you, those feelings that came up were actually in you long before you ever met them. You just weren't conscious that those feelings were in your nervous system. So what ends up happening is you then resonate with somebody that becomes a catalyst. This is your person that hurt you. And of course, that experience can be quite traumatizing, and it can be quite an uncomfortable thing to go through, as you know, but it actually triggered feelings in your body that needed to be felt and needed to be seen. And the feelings that got triggered, once again, were in you long before you ever met that person. So that's going to connect back to your early childhood trauma. And this is where most people go wrong. They think that this person that came in and broke their heart, they think that that's the first time they ever felt that pain. In the sense that they think, oh, this shouldn't have happened. I don't know why this happened the way that it did. Everything seemed so perfect at first, and it seemed like everything was okay. And I wasn't feeling these things before I met the person, and then they hurt me, or then they broke my heart, and now I'm hurt, and now I'm feeling all this stuff. This is where people go wrong. They think that the feelings that get triggered from that original hurt with the person is solely from that person. And yeah, the trauma that you may have went through with that person is, the trauma you experienced with them, but the feelings that got triggered from the trauma were long before you met the person. That's the reason why you resonated with that person in the first place, because you had energetic trauma, repressed negative energy inside of your nervous system that then caused you to resonate with another human being that also had similar types of wounding as you do, similar resonance. And then both of you actually were a catalyst for each other. Now, that doesn't mean that both of you are going to honor the catalyst. Sometimes one person honors it and the other person doesn't. But I would imagine if you made it to this video and you're watching this now, you're one of those people that got your heart broken or got hurt, and you're the one honoring the catalyst. So congratulations on making it here. But the point is that it was the repressed early childhood trauma that caused you to resonate with this person in the first place. So it wasn't just the person that broke your heart, and now you're all dysregulated, and now you're all hurt, and you think it's all their fault, and they did you dirty, and they did you wrong. I'm not saying they didn't do those things. I'm not saying you're not dysregulated, because of them. But what I'm trying to really help you understand is that they're also not the quote unquote bad guy. They're not your enemy. They were a catalyst for you to see things inside of you that you weren't allowing yourself to see. And it took that type of experience to trigger that out of your body and to trigger that into your conscious awareness. Is that fun to go through? Hell no, it's not. Is it something that's necessary? Absolutely. Okay. So what ends up happening, because a lot of us have this misunderstanding that the reason why we even manifested this person into our life was due to early childhood trauma that was not processed in the system, because of that whole misunderstanding, we then associate meaning to this person. So let me give you an example. This person comes into my life. I get into a relationship with them. The relationship is really stimulating. It has some really, really high highs, and it has some really, really dark low lows. It's not a safe relationship. It's a codependent, toxic dynamic. Okay? Both of us in it are in some ways not really honoring our authenticity. We might not be aware that we're not. We might even think we are, but we're truly not. Okay? This person ends up doing something. They end up abandoning me one day. They just disappear. That ends up destroying me internally. It just like comes out of complete left field. I had no idea that they were just going to disappear one day. Everything seemed fine and then they just are gone, right? So that leaves me with this huge feeling of abandonment. And that's the key word there. The feeling of abandonment. What is the feeling? Okay? The feelings of abandonment oftentimes are going to be the feelings of fear and a deep sense of sadness, if you really get to the core of it. And then maybe even some anger, like I'm mad that you just did that. So like fear, sadness, and anger, right? So it triggers these feelings in me as this person that I thought I loved just disappeared on me. Now, in my mind, because I don't understand that that same fear, sadness, and anger that I'm now experiencing from being abandoned, because I don't understand that this is actually important to feel and this is important to be with, and since I don't have the education to also know that these same feelings were even deeper than this person abandoning me, which means at some point throughout my early childhood experience, I felt those exact same feelings. And I went through something that I internalized as abandonment. And I didn't have the capacity to process that energy when I was younger. So I carried it into my adulthood, and now it's remanifesting itself all over again, but in a different way because it was repressed. And it resonated, that repressed negative energy, that trauma resonated with another experience where it would recycle itself and I would re-experience the feelings. Now, the reason why this happens, the reason why the soul does this is because it knows we need to feel the feelings. So it's going to keep recreating the same experience until you finally process the feelings that are behind it. And that's how you release the energetic charge. But as I was saying, if I don't have this understanding and I don't have this education, and then someone just abandons me and I feel these feelings, now I'm going to start entering into a level of survival stress. I'm going to find more ways to disconnect from my body because what's going on in my body is extremely painful and extremely uncomfortable, and I don't want to be present with it. So it's very likely that I'm going to amp up my unhealthy coping, whether that be through substance abuse, whether that be through other unhealthy relationships that I start, trying to get into, whether that be through, just numbing myself out on social media, on my phone. There's a whole host of different ways that this can show up, unhealthy eating habits, all these things. But the point is that when you don't understand what's going on at a deeper level, it's very likely that you want to get away from the pain and you want to escape it and you want to run, which further amplifies the wounding that was already in the system. Because remember, that person triggered that wound in you, that abandonment. And I'll use me as the example. When that person abandoned me, they triggered the core wound that I need to be with. And if they trigger that core wound in me and I just further escape it or further avoid it and further run away from it, I'm only amplifying the trauma. And I'm further not loving myself because I'm not being present with my wounded inner child. And I'm not being present with these deeper feelings that need my presence in order to be with, feel through, and then eventually release. So none of that energy gets a chance to actually process. It actually adds more to it. So not only did I just have the trauma from early childhood that then caused me to resonate with this person, that then re-traumatized me, if I'm not honoring the feelings that are getting triggered and processing them, then I have a whole nother load of trauma that's now in my system that I'm trying to escape from, which is only going to amplify the survival stress identity. And that's where it causes a lot of problems. Now, I think for most people, the pain of that heartbreak, when that person hurts you, when that person abandoned me, for example, the pain of that is enough to break the survival stress in a way that means, yeah, there might be some unhealthy coping, there might be some wanting to escape the pain, but there's also a deeper realization of knowing you can't run from this anymore and you have to face it eventually. And for a lot of people, that's what does take place. And as, once again, as painful as that is to accept as truth, it's a very powerful thing. And it's what can start to set the stage for you to truly liberate yourself from that wounding. Okay, so I just wanted to be very clear about that. The reason why most people don't honor this is because they don't know what to do. And they don't have that proper education to understand what's really going on in the system. So when they go through that hurt, they further escape it. I'll go back to using me as the example. This person abandons me out of nowhere. I feel the feelings that are underneath of it. I don't want to honor those feelings. I don't want to feel that pain. I further amp up my unhealthy coping. And now I associate the face, the body of that person that hurt me to those emotions in my body. So let me really be clear about what I'm saying here, because this is nuanced stuff and it really takes some deep reflection to understand what I'm actually trying to tell you. Once this person abandons me and triggers these negative feelings, remember, the gold is in the emotional processing. If I'm unwilling to feel those emotions, now what I'm more likely to do is associate the face, body, and identity of that person that hurt me to those negative feelings. Which then means as I start to feel that fear, that sadness, and that anger of the abandonment, I'm actually attributing those feelings to the identity of the person that actually hurt me. This is what sets the stage for you to keep remanifesting the same person over and over and over again in different bodies. Which sounds really strange, but a lot of you that are watching this know exactly what it is that I'm talking about, because this is exactly how trauma patterns can manifest themselves. But I want you to really see what I'm trying to communicate. The feelings that are getting triggered are the gold mine for you to heal the early childhood trauma. Because remember, it goes way deeper than this person that hurt you. It's most oftentimes it's connected back to mom and dad or your caregivers. But every time you feel those feelings from that core wound, if you're not willing to process them, accept them, and be present and then feel through it, you're more likely to associate the identity of that person that hurt you to you feeling those feelings. And because you're in resistance to the feelings, you're also in resistance to the identity of the person that triggered them. And whatever you're in resistance to you are persisting. There's that common saying, what you resist is exactly what persists. So are you following me? Okay. So what this means now is whenever you're starting to get those triggers of, let's say, this abandonment wound, you're now subconsciously associating that person's identity that triggered you originally to those feelings. And the way that this actually looks in practicality is, oh, let's say I'm trying to, I go through this really traumatic separation. This person just abandons me. And then about, 2 weeks, there's like a 2-week time frame that I've been just feeling this intense amount of fear and sadness and anger, but I'm also really not wanting to feel it. So I'm like coping in very unhealthy ways. I'm drinking so much caffeine, drinking a lot of alcohol, hanging out with some of my friends that are all about just distracting themselves and not really being present. I'm doing all these things to try to keep myself busy, right? When I really start to allow those feelings to come through, I'm subconsciously associating the feelings to the person that hurt me. So it's almost like I'm telling myself a story that says, it's this person that is the reason why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And what this does is it locks in a trauma pattern, which now means the more you're going to be resisting those feelings, the more likely you're actually going to be persisting the attraction of the person that hurt you originally. And when I say the person that hurt you originally, of course, I mean the person that was the catalyst for you to re-experience those feelings, because the true original person that hurt you probably was mom and dad. It was the caregivers when you were way younger. But when I'm saying the original person, I'm referring to the person that catalyzed you as an adult to then have to reface yourself and then go back to the past to heal the roots. But that's what really causes this to keep cycling, where you keep manifesting the same person over and over and over again. It's the combination of resisting what you're actually feeling, not wanting to truly be present with it, not really taking the time to honor it, and to essentially surrender into those feelings and realize that this stuff does go deeper than the person that hurt you. That's one of the biggest mindset shifts that needs to happen so you can start practicing letting go of needing to blame them for the reason why you feel those feelings in the first place. Because yeah, they hurt you, but they're not the one that originally caused those feelings in your body. It was way earlier in the past, in your early childhood, that then caused you to resonate with this person to then trigger these feelings in your body. So the feelings were there for a long time. You just weren't aware of it yet. And this is also where a lot of people get confused, because people are like, well, my life was fine before I met that person. How does that even make sense? Everything was smooth. Everything was working out the way that I wanted it to. And then I meet this person, I get into this relationship with them, and then suddenly I can't stop this anxiety. I can't stop this fear. I can't stop this sadness. I can't stop this anger. What's wrong with me? What's going on? The reason why everything was quote unquote smooth in the past is because you were good at managing it. You were not actually you. That was not your authentic self. That was a version of you that was really good at managing everything and keeping it under the hood. Eventually, you're going to burn out. And sometimes that burnout manifests itself in the way where you think you got everything under control, you think you know who you are as an identity, and then you just happen to attract this really toxic person in your life that then acts as a catalyst, triggers your deepest core fears and your deepest core wounds, And now you're left actually discovering who you truly are without needing to manage the pain, but actually going directly into your pain and getting curious about it and working with it and being present. So to answer that question, once again, my life was fine before I met them. You weren't you though. You were not your authentic self. That was just a version of you that was really good at managing everything. So therefore you thought you were fine, but look where it got you. Even that version of you that thought you had everything under control, look what it manifested. It manifested that relationship. It manifested that person. So you didn't have it all under control in the way that you may have thought that you did. And that's important to reflect on and important to accept as a truth. Okay? Now, the good thing is that once you've gone through this catalyst and your core wound is now active, this is your opportunity to really learn about who you actually are now. This is probably the first time in a long time that you get to actually discover your authentic self by going directly into the pain and being present with it and realizing you are good enough there. And you can learn to create safety for yourself and have boundaries where there needs to be boundaries, and start changing your lifestyle to be much more in alignment with you being authentic and being present. No longer fighting against those feelings, no longer resisting. Okay, this is the whole purpose of the situation, the catalyst itself. And your life is meant to change for the better as you honor it. And I'm a testament to this. I've done this actually multiple times in my life. It's taken me quite a while to get to a point where I was really able to see my authentic self and then really start committing to it. But as I started to commit to that, I noticed viscerally how much my relationship started to change. And the reason why my relationship started to change is because my relationship to myself changed. So I started having boundaries with people I don't resonate with anymore. People started naturally leaving out of my life, and new people started coming in. Everything really does change for the better. Okay, but it takes time. And for me, it took me a lot of hurt, a lot of pain and suffering through contrast to realize that there's an easier way to do it, and that it's as simple as just letting go and being more authentic to the present moment. But even though it's as simple as that, there are steps that you need to go through that can really help you honor this inner process. Okay? So, and it takes time. This is not something that happens overnight. But the reason why you're manifesting the same person over and over and over again, once again, is because you are currently resisting certain feelings and you are associating those feelings with the person that hurt you. Once you start to face those emotions, you'll naturally start releasing the association to the person. And you'll stop needing to fight against them. And you'll stop needing to victimize yourself because they're the one that hurt you. They're the one that messed your life up. They're the one. When in truth, you're not taking responsibility for the fact that you had trauma from way earlier on that led you to that person. That's your responsibility. You co-created that. So once we start surrendering into those feelings through an integrated process, building a foundation to create the safety in the body so that we can really, do our best to ease into it. So that way, when we go into that heavy, dense uncomfort, we also have tools and education to navigate it, to know why we're experiencing what we are. And that creates more safety to be able to better honor this whole process. Once we start doing that, we naturally start releasing the association to the person. We start integrating the core trapped energy that was in the nervous system. That energy starts to release itself. Wounded inner child parts of us that are still frozen in the past start to unfreeze and reintegrate into the body in the present moment. And now your entire energetic field is resonating at a different frequency. Now you're a fresh slate, and you're going to start naturally attracting new energy that is a reflection of how you're loving yourself and how you're now honoring, seeing, and hearing yourself. And that's when you stop manifesting that same person over and over and over again. So if you're noticing that you are in this cycle right now, I think one of the best steps to take is to realize, of course, educating yourself with everything that I just shared here and now, but maybe it's not wise to be looking for relationships right now, because what I've seen in my own life and what I see happen for a lot of other people that are kind of going through this cycle is there's also a part of them that's looking for a new relationship to sort of fill that void. And remember, that energy is coming from a place of not wanting to be present with what's really going on in the body. So the more that we're then looking for a new relationship. So for example, let's say someone came into my life and they completely abandoned me, which I have had happen. This is like a real example that has actually happened to me. And then that really hurts me. It brings up my core wound, etc. If I'm not letting myself process what's underneath of all of that, and I go looking for another relationship or looking to connect with another person that potentially I can have a relationship with, it is so likely that I'm going to keep remanifesting that same pattern, that same person, just in a different body. And you'll be able to recognize it. You'll see it when you see it. There are certain mannerisms, there are certain things that they might say, certain things that they might do that will kind of literally flash as red flag signals within your body at an intuition level and an instinctual level. And the unfortunate thing is that most people end up bypassing that because that energy is so familiar. It's so familiar to them, and they're in so much resistance to their emotions that they will just go into the next dynamic with the same person, just in a different body. And you might notice little changes from person to person. You might notice even little improvements. Maybe the first person that originally hurt you, maybe they had no job, right? And then the second person, they're like a very similar energy, but this person has a job. So then our mind can oftentimes try to rationalize that. Oh, well, this person's different. They're better. They have a job, but they still treat me the exact same way as the previous person. And they have similar mannerisms. They say similar things. They have even similar characteristics. It's really weird. And of course, the more self-aware you are, the more you can see these things. But if you find yourself in this cycle, don't blame yourself or criticize or judge yourself. You're a human being. It's very natural to find yourself in these types of cycles. But just know that it might be a wise time to re-educate yourself and then move into a place of conscious solitude. Maybe now isn't the time to look for those relationships. Maybe now is the time to start working on boundaries and developing this awareness and relationship with yourself. And of course, feeling all those heavy emotions that are really in your body right now. That's your path to freedom and to liberation. Okay, so that's the main essence of what I wanted to share in this video, and it is completely possible to come out of this cycle. There are people every single day that are re-educating themselves, building a whole new foundation, potentially seeking mentorship or seeking some form of coaching or support. that are breaking these cycles and are forming completely new relationships with themselves and changing their lives. And I am a testament of it. I've done this within my own life, and it is 100% possible. So I really want that to be clear for any of you that might potentially be struggling with this. All right. Now, if you're looking for a community to join of like-minded people that are coming together that are focused on trauma healing, nervous system regulation, inner child work, aligned manifestation, and being their authentic self, I have this community. It's literally the first link below. It's completely free to join, and it's called the Cycle Breakers Community. Literally, it's an active community. We, at this point of recording, have roughly 100 members that are in the community itself, of people that are really honoring that inner process and take it very seriously. And of course, I lead the community, and I know, within myself, I'm someone that very much honors my process and takes it quite seriously. I'm also a human, and I'm not perfect, but I do honor my process, and I really do commit to that. So this is the type of person that I'm looking to attract into the community. And there's a whole bunch of different future plans that I have for it. But at the moment, it's a completely free community of like-minded people that are active in the group. And I'm posting in it every single day. And I'm active, and I'm responding to people's questions. I'm responding to people's comments and things in that nature. So all you have to do is you have to answer 3 different questions that are very simple questions, but that shows me if you're in alignment with this group. And if you're in alignment with it, I would be more than happy to invite you in. Okay? First link below. We'll leave it there. Now, the second link below is where you can book a one-on-one call with me. So this is where you can jump into mentorships, or you can just do a one-on-one call. So if you're someone that's looking for that deeper support, I would be honored to be able to connect with you in this way. Second link below. Now, the third link is the Patreon. At the moment, I have an entire trauma healing course that's on the Patreon that is extremely valuable. If you're looking to build your foundation, understand your nervous system, work with your parts, and be able to really honor this inner process by going through the actual practice itself, this is where you want to go. You want to join the Patreon and check out the trauma course. And then at tier number 3, I have something that's called the Nervous System Healing Ritual. This is very unique. This is an actual ritual that I do on the 29th, led by me, that's designed for anyone that's a participant to surface trapped trauma that's in the body, so that you can actually start working with it. Now, if you're someone that's committed to yourself and you're committed to your inner process, this is for you. If you're not committed to that, then this is definitely not for you, because this is not a quick fix. This is not a hack. This is a real energetic catalyst that is meant for people that are truly honoring their inner work. And if you are one of those people, it can be a huge support for your nervous system to release that stored negative energy and start grounding more into your authentic self, start getting some regulation going on in your system, and then, of course, changing your entire life through time in a positive way. So if any of that resonates, that is all in the third link below. Anything, all the way from the nervous system healing ritual down to the trauma healing course. And there's a whole bunch of other material that's also on the Patreon right now. So definitely look into it. All right. So with that being said, this is going to wrap it up. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Later.